Hey everyone. So I am putting on borders on my quilt. So I'm actually putting on a third border, and I thought, well, let's discuss this. We left school early today. It is a blizzard outside right now. And I started putting on this border and I said, oh, I forgot all about, we discussed the borders, but I never did actually show you what to do as far as what I was going to do. So I had decided that I'm going to do a scrappy border. So I took all my leftover fabrics after making the first quilt and this after quilt, and I cut every piece of fabric that I had left in those piles into 2.5-inch strips. So now that stash is gone and it's cut into 2.5-inch strips. So I decided I'm going to use this as my border number 3. Here is the quilt. I demoed how to make the box, how to put it together. I put in the first border and I put in a second little skitty border because I'm just trying to use up all the fabric. And now I've made strips and sewn them together, and this is going on in my border. So I think, yep, you're in the screen. I have my needle down. I had already started. I put that at the end. Now, there are many ways to put borders. The best way to put a border is actually to measure your whole quilt, the length, find the average, cut your strip to that exact measurement, and pin your border on. I am doing it the Fabric Cafe method, which is to join your strips together, sew, and then cut. I have not had a problem, knock on this. I know people have where their quilt is wonky and not straight. It's not like like a very good, the corners are not squared off. When I trim this border off, I do make sure that the vertical line and the horizontal line are perfect before I trim anything. I make sure nothing is wonky. So for me, this works, but there are times that I measure out the border, and you're welcome to do that. And so here I'm just going to show you, if you were reading this Fabric Cafe pattern, this is what they say. I'll give you the little read on it. It says, sew together from end to end the strips, sew strip to each side of the quilt, and then trim even with top and bottom. Using the remainder of the strip, sew to top and bottom and trim even with the sides. So that's what I'm doing here. So I have this in, and I'm going ahead. Now the borders that I have on here are different than what is in the pattern. I went ahead, because I had so much of that gray, I went ahead and cut 2.5-inch strips instead of what was said in the pattern, because also for me, having a 2.5-inch strip works better in my scrap system. So it's just easy to have. That's one reason why I did that. Second, I have a second border, and the second border is 1.5 inches thick. It's 1.5 inch strips, and that's my second border, which is the white, because I do have a lot of white left, the white on white, and so that was what I had decided to do. And then, like I said, I cut up all my remaining fabric from both of these projects into 2.5-inch strips so that I can use them in place of jelly rolls. What's nice is I'm using them now for a scrappy border, and then I can also use them for a scrappy binding. So it will all work out, and I can use all my stash. So that's a plus for me and the way I like to sew. I come in here, and I'm coming to the end. I want to make sure everything is nice there. And that's it. I pull this out. Now, I need to cut this so that it's straight. But I don't do that right now. Right now, what I do is I just cut off a bit. I make it longer, and then I will trim that later. And that's just so that I don't have to get up, trim, and do that. I can get 2 sides and 1 sitting. So I'm going to now go to the other side of this quilt. Line this up. Again, I trim at the end after I iron this. All right. Oh, I should say, I am not going to use this end because this end came off of this. So I'm actually going to flip this strip over. And actually now I have to measure and see if I have enough, in which I don't. So I need to add another strip. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on here. I thought I had sewn this end to end, and I didn't, and that's okay. This is it. We make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. I'm not perfect, so here we go. You get to see my mistakes live on here. I'm not editing it out for you because we all do it. All right, so now I'm going to take this strip here and what did I do here? You know what? Did I do the same mistake? I did do the same mistake. I sewed it on the wrong end. Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to take off this piece. Not a big deal. I just didn't want to use this piece because I had it ready and I didn't. It's fine. Just take it off. It's just as easy. There we go. No biggie. All right, so now I'm going to come to my end. I'm going to put my strip down. And I'm going to attach this side to it. We had gotten a lot of snow the other day, and yesterday was a nice day. We had a late morning start, and now today we had an early dismissal from school, so that was kind of nice. Now that I'm getting to make this video for you all because I want to finish up this quilt here. I'm thinking today I may just take it easy, toying with the idea of long arming a quilt. I have a pile of them on my long arm that need to be quilted. Again, I don't take in any quilting work. I don't take someone else's quilts and quilt them. I only quilt my quilt. It actually is not my favorite part of quilting. I do it out of necessity just because I have so many tops and they've got to get finished. And I'm enjoying it as I'm learning. I'm a beginner, a very beginner. So, you know, it is just that. All right. So now I come in here. Coming to the end. And I stop. All right, now what I'm going to do is I would go and iron all this, iron this flat like this, and then trim it. So I'll be right back. I am here. I I am ironing my corners so that I can go ahead and square them off and then add my next borders. All right, here I'm back. I'm back. I'm going to take this and this and this. So you will have, let me see, let me push this so that you can see better. There we go. So I have my quilt. This is where I started it. I come in here and I check that that's good, where I sewed the seam, and here. And there's just the littlest, tiniest bit. It was mostly just the thread. And I do this on all four corners. So now I've come here. Let's see. No, let's move it this way. There we go. You can see this better. I come in here. I put this on my seam that I sewn. I make sure that that is even. I make sure this is even. And I cut right off. The next one here, I do the same. I come in, put this on a sewing line. Make sure that is straight. Make sure this is straight. All I have here is just my thread. And my next one. So this is my fourth one. Everything is flat. Well, as flat as one can be. I come here. I put this on my sewing line. And everything, I measure here. Oops, see? Sewing, let me do this better. Let me put this up better. Okay, there we go. And I put this on my sewing line, bring it down to the edge, and I make sure everything is straight, and it is. Now, I have, this is the top of this quilt. So over here I have a little piece of this fabric, so I will be putting on this here and then go all the way across, and I will do that by adding another strip. I'm one strip short, so we're going to add this strip. Now this is somewhat directional fabric on these strips, so being that it's on the top, I can make sure that the direction of the fabric is going to sit right. And I check everything out, and yes. This is real life quilt making right here. And you can go in and you can iron that. I am just honestly gonna just press it like this. Now this is the top of the quilt. So my strip has to be like this. And so I just kind of mock it and look at it, mock like what it's gonna look like. Flip it over, and then that's how I know that this strip is gonna lay exactly where I would like it to lay. So I want these gnomes looking at me, smiling. I'm putting that right at the end. Now, since this is the last strips I'm putting on here, I want to anchor them. So I know it adds a little bulk, but I don't want it to fall apart when I start long arming. So I come in and I back stitch for a little bit, and then I can go ahead and sew. And I fix as I go. You may pin if you like. You may measure and pin and cut. I actually did measure this quilt as I went with my tape measure, just to make sure that the sides were still the same measurement. So both sides still read the same measurements, and the top and bottom still read the same measurements. I do that. I don't just fly with it. I try to put on the sides, when I put the strips, I tried to pick the strips that were what they considered tossed fabrics, meaning that the fabrics go in any which way. I tried not to use a directional fabric when it was on the sides. I tried. Now I'm coming to the end and I backstitched. Now I'm not going to use any more of this strip, so I'm just letting it fly there. Now we have to put a strip at the bottom, which is here. And you know something? I ran out of strips, didn't I? That's okay. I have a pile of them. Where do I have? Oh, here they are. Sorry, guys. See, I have a pile of the strips. So since I have a pile of strips, I'm going to figure out which way to go with this. So over here, I have this one that I ended with there. And so what I might do is take this little piece that I had taken off before and use that as, okay, so now I have to be careful though, and make sure I put this in the right spot. So it has to go over here. Because these hearts, believe it or not, it's a direction. They're directional. So I want to make sure that the hearts lay like this when I put them on. And this goes. All right. So there's the first one. And I know that that's going to go like this. So these hearts are directional, so I'm going to keep them like that. And then I'm going to add another strip, and the other strip I'm going to add is, I believe, directional as well. Let's see. I thought I had extra of those strips. Let's see, which strip haven't I used yet? I've used those. I've used those. I've used those. This is strange. Okay, so let's see what we have on this side. We have this on this side. So let's go with, see, after a while, oh, here, let's go with this. We'll go with this one. Okay, so we'll move those strips aside. And then I don't have to worry about it. It's a tossed print, and we'll go with it. And I take these little threads off. They drive me nuts, these little threads. Okay. So we should have enough now. I come in and I double check, and we do. So I'm starting from here. Double check this is how I want my strip to lay. It is. Come in here and add this one in. And back stitch there, since this is the final border I'm putting on. on with a 1/4 inch, just in case if anybody's wondering. I am sewing a 1/4 inch. As you can see. It's a good way to use up all my leftovers with this. And now back stitch, and we're done. So now we would iron this, come in and do the same thing with our corners. Let's swing you over. Let's swing you over, lift you up here. Hi. And put up our quilt. Of course, you know, this is not trimmed yet. The top is not trimmed. But so you get an idea, and this video isn't like very long. There you go. So there is, bring this over maybe a little bit more. And there is the top. And there it is. I have completed my after quilt. So with the swap, the fat quarter swap, I got 2 quilts and they are all done and ready to go and get quilted one day on my log arm. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. Take care of yourself. Pass it forward. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I really need people just to hit that subscribe button and like the video. And I love to hear all your comments. They're all wonderful. And I hope everyone has a fabulous day. Bye.